Right, for our segment 2, we are in chapter 6 of the practice, and there's only 5 of them, as you can see here. You can remember in the past, some of the weeks we've had as many as like 17 or 20, and we're only going to look at 2 because they have one and then they have another one as another practice. So you could follow along with number 1 and then you can do number 2. Same with number 3 and 4. They're kind of the exact same, just different numbers. All right, so let's look at this first one. We're going to keep with the petty cash. We're going to start in with petty cash. It says this company establishes 350 of their petty cash on September 9th. Let's just stop right there and let's just do it one segment at a time instead of getting jumbled up. So we have a $350 that we are opening up our petty cash, and that's what it says to do here. We're going to prepare the entry to establish petty cash. So I'll debit petty cash account for the 350, and just as we talked about, we went down to the bank, took out of our checking account the 350. So all I did is just moved money around. I didn't lose any money. I just took it out of the bank and put it in my office. So that's pretty easy for journal entry number 1 to record the entry. Now it says journal entry 2, record the reimbursement to the petty cash fund, because throughout the month we started spending some money. The fund shows that we have only 104 left in the account. So that if we wanted to just stop right there, we could see, we could kind of get an idea of how much we spent. If I started with 350 and I only have 104 left, the fund, that means I spent 246. Okay. All right, so the fund shows $104 and the receipts for what we spent for. All right, let's start adding these up. $40 for transportation for merchandise, 123. Notice that, and they call that, they tell us exactly what it's for. It's to get the merchandise to come in. So when we debit it, we're going to have to debit the merchandise account, the inventory, back to the prior 2 chapters. This postage expense, that would be stuff going out that I'm paying for, whether it be stamps or shipping that I'm paying for myself, like FOB destination. So we add in the 123 of postage, and then miscellaneous expenses. Notice here, instead of the 246 where we want it to be, this only adds up to 243, and that's why they show here that we had a $3 shortage, and yes, we did. So they already told us everything that we needed. You didn't even have to figure up that there was a shortage, so that makes this one a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and show how we would do this. Then on the end of the month, we would start showing what the money and the amounts went for. So the first item went for, remember, was merchandise inventory. We had to pay shipping to get that stuff to my office, the inventory. So we don't call that a shipping expense. We add it right into the inventory. And that was for $40. The second one was a postage expense. So that was for stamps and anything else that I had to pay for to send out. So that's 123, it said. And then we had a miscellaneous expense for 80. And then the final, remember, this was a cash shortage. So I need to find my cash shortage account. Cash shorten over. Shorten over for the $3, because that's an expense. I just didn't know what it went to. And then we come down here. We don't credit petty cash. You could, but this is not how the book is wanting you to do it. So we're just going to debit cash or credit cash for the whole amount. The whole 246 that I have. And remember, it's 246 because if we go back up here, we had 350 and I only have 104 left. When I go into the next month, I want to have 350 again. So I need to go down to the bank and take out $246 out of my checking account. And that's what's happening here. I'm taking 246, putting it back into the petty cash, and now the petty cash is back up to 350. Like nothing ever happened to it. Then the only other thing I need to do is show that the company decides to, on October 1, beginning of next month, to increase the amount from 350 to 400. So that's an extra 50 bucks. So we need to show that we're going to debit our petty cash by the 50. And we took more money out of our checking account for the 50. So we can record that. Let's go ahead and check the work, see how we did. And everything looks good. The second one, you can see it's very, very similar to this one. We have a petty cash. They start you out with some amount. They tell you all the other expenses. So this is one that you can try. I would recommend it. Now, when we get to number 3, this is a very condensed, this is not necessarily real life, but it's the best that the book can really do. We're going to see kind of how, in a basic term, how a bank rec looks. Now, this one even makes it easier than I do in my lecture examples. They don't even require you to do the journal entry. They just require you to show how the bank rec is going to be affected. See how they have it broken down just like how I did in my Excel. We have it on 2 sides, the bank side and then our side, the book side being our side. And then when it's all said and done, like a trial balance, we want these two to balance at the end. Okay, so let's just take this one step at a time. All right, so we deposit all cash the day we receive it, and it makes all cash payments by check. Okay, it says our business closed and shows $11,589 in our book. So let's go ahead and put that in. Let's put 1 so we don't have to go back, and let's just put it in as we get to it. The bank, their bank says that, oh, they don't have nearly that much. They have almost 1,000 less. They have 10,555. Now, when we're all said and done, hopefully these two are going to balance. So let's see what happens. So this is the 4 things that showed up when we compared to the bank statement. The first thing it says was there was an outstanding check for $1,829. So if we think back to the lecture example, outstanding checks, that's something that I know about as the company, but we want to pretend that the bank knows about it. So if we're going to pretend that the bank knows about it, we're going to adjust the bank side. And then we got to think what a check does. If I wrote a check, does that increase or decrease my cash? Well, it decreases it. So I want to come down here and put outstanding checks. And then the amount, the $1,829. So we took care of A. The June 30th bank statement lists a $16 service charge. Okay, that's a charge that the bank obviously knows about it. They assessed it. We don't know about it. So we would make a journal entry. They don't have us do that. And then we got to think, what does a service charge do to my cash? Well, it makes it go down. So we need to find bank service charge and show that the amount was $16 that I'm going to take away from my cash. Already in the deduct side, so I don't need to put a negative. Okay, check number 919. It was correctly drawn for 467. So that means we actually wrote it out for 467, the correct amount to pay your utilities. However, when we recorded it to our books, we recorded it for 476. So we actually recorded it and took out too much cash. So I like to always start out with, and this is the way you can know if it's a negative or positive. Do you think, do I take money away or take it out? All right, put down what you wrote first. You put it as a 476 that you took away. You actually only wrote it for 467. So we need to actually add back $9. We took too much out of our cash. So we need to go over here and for the error for check 919 and show that we need to add $9 to our cash T account, and we would make that journal entry. to show we need to add back $9. The final thing here, it says we had cash receipts and we put it in the bank after hours, so therefore it's not on the bank statement. So this is something that we knew about, but the bank doesn't know it. So we need to adjust the bank side, and then we got to think about cash receipts. How does that affect the bank's books? How would that affect them? That would add it. That's a deposit in transit. So we've come over here and put deposits on June 30th for $2,856. If that's everything that happened on the bank reconciliation, if we come down here, the numbers should balance, and they do. Now we can check our work. The only thing I don't like on this one is I would like them to have you do the journal entries, but you saw that in the example that I had in the lecture for part 1, and everything looks correct.